Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy E Buck, and it's time for the Big Buck Sports Report. Sorry, gang, it's been so very long that we have done a show this late. A lot went on this week. Let me be honest with you. Life and the new normal sometimes affects how the show runs, unfortunately. So, for those of you who follow the network and basically expect things to be on a regular schedule, let me be honest, it's going to be a little off for a while as I'm trying to work out some things. Y'all kind of know part of the scenario. We need not go there. At any rate, I know you guys been checking on the sports all week. We're going to give you a quick update of what's going on. Then we're going to get to the show. We'll finish the show, the Guru Sports Report. And then a quick programming note or two before we end it on up. Keep in mind, if you're not able to catch this now because you are watching the sports, fear not, I am going to rebroadcast this sometime tomorrow or Monday so you can check it again. Nonetheless, Big Buck Sports Report. Baseball. Round one already done in the books. Very quick first round of the playoffs. Everybody basically was 2 and out. On the American League side, I guess the big surprise would be that the Tampa Bay Rays, the team that was winning and winning big much of the beginning of the season, are now out of the playoffs. They just didn't get it done. And shame on you, Tampa Bay fans. I know they say it kind of hard to get to the stadium out there in Tampa Bay, but you got to have more than 20,000 people for a playoff game. That's just ridiculous. That's just so not good. I mean, it basically shows that Florida fans in that area just are not perhaps good baseball fans in general because of that. That might be part of why Tampa Bay didn't get it done. Who knows? Nonetheless, they are out. Toronto Blue Jays also out. Definitely was a team I thought that would make the playoffs this season. They just didn't have enough pitching to get it done. I feel like that's what killed them. On the National League side, you have the Diamondbacks still in the running, and the Phillies made it to the next round. So, of course, now those teams are playing the Dodgers and the Braves on that side. Houston and Minnesota playing on this side, going with who's playing Baltimore, which is Texas. So that's what we got in that next round. We will keep you posted on what's going on that round of the playoffs as the playoffs continue in that second round, which started today. That being said, that's baseball playoffs. Meanwhile, in the WNBA playoffs, we have the finals about to start tomorrow. That is the finals between the two teams that we thought were going to be in the finals. We have been saying it all season long. We pretty much had established that early on. Nothing has changed that outcome. So, yes, we will get the New York Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA finals to start on Sunday. We got somebody checking into the show. Big Joe checking in. What's going on, Joe? What's happening? Thank you for checking us out. We appreciate you. Sorry, like I said, for the late show this week. A lot going on in the world, ebook. I apologize. We're going to work some things out with that. We'll talk about that at the end of the show as to how we're going to play this moving forward. In the meanwhile, back to the WNBA talk again. Vegas Aces, New York Liberty, the two best teams in the league, the two teams with the best record, the two highest scoring teams in the league, the two teams with the best overall regular season records in the history of the WNBA playing one another. It should be a very good matchup. I do believe that we will get all 5 games as the finals in the WNBA are a best of 5 series. I think it will go that full 5. And I do believe, as I've said from the very beginning, that the Las Vegas Aces will indeed win the championship and be back-to-back champions. So we will see how it plays out. Again, Sunday is the first game. 2 of the 5 games will be on ABC. Basically, the 2 Sunday games will be on ABC. The rest of the games you'll be able to find on ESPN, or if you have the WNBA app, you will be able to find them there as well. Good luck to both squads. We will keep you posted on there. Meanwhile, we got hockey that has started so far this year. If you remember, I do believe it was the Las Vegas Knights who won last year in the NHL. This year, I am going to go with either. I will reserve either because I'm not a big hockey fan, but I can weigh in because I do check it out. It will either be Boston making up for that debacle last year where they had the best record in the league and crapped out in the playoffs. It will either be Boston winning those finals this year and hoisting the cup, or the sleeper pick the pick that no one probably saw coming early on, that would be that team that I love to bet on that first year of existence, but now are showing that they're ready to move up and move on. The Seattle Kraken. That's right. That is my sleeper team to win the NHL playoffs this year and be champions. The Seattle Kraken. Look out for the Kraken. In the meanwhile, hopefully the Detroit Red Wings have enough people to make it to that playoff this year. I am going to pick them to actually make the playoffs. What they do there, we will see. But I think it is our time to finally start making some playoff runs once again in Detroit. That is my hockey preview, plain, quick, and simple. Because this is not a big hockey house, but we do check it out a little bit. Nonetheless, like I said, there's so many sports starting. Keep in mind the NBA preseason is starting this evening. So right now you might be watching live because you are watching one of the preseason games. Of course, my team Michigan's actually on. So yes, I've actually chose to do the show while doing the game watching of the Michigan. But keep in mind, it ain't much to watch. Michigan blowing those boys out. Anyway, football last week, wasn't a lot of big games. Shout out to Colorado for making it the game against USC. Didn't quite get there. Texas basically showed up and showed out last week. Not so much this week. Lost. They will definitely be down in the rankings. As far as the rest of it go, pretty much a standard college week. Good games, but nothing extraordinary that is stuck out thus far. As far as that or in the week before. So that is that part of the discussion. Now, we will go on and slide quickly and swiftly to that thing we call the Guru's football session. As you know, the Thursday game did happen. I will give you my thoughts on that after the session. And then, like I said, we'll do a little game of understanding how we're going to do the show moving forward. And we'll go from there. So that being said, without further ado, to show up in the show, the Guru's football session. C+ grade in college football, he's saying for either this week or last. Either way, they about the same for both weeks. You got some good games. You got some not so good games. You basically didn't have a lot of classics. It's good football. I do believe, as we discussed earlier with my buddy Hugh, that the NFL is definitely outplaying college these last couple of weeks in regards to the type of quality games that we are seeing. But again, we're about to talk about that now here on the Guru's football session, part of the Big Buck Sports Report. Here we go. What's going on, good people? Y'all know what this is. This is the show within the show, the one we call the Guru's football session. Of course, I am E-Buck, and that dude right there is the sports guru, Hugh D. Lee. What's going on, Hugh?
Hey, what's up, E-Man? How you doing, brother?
Hey, we hanging in there. That being said, brother, let's get straight to it. It's time to talk that football, what we seen in week 4. What game you want to go with first, my guy?
We got to go with the Thursday night game because that was the first game that started off the week, and it was actually pretty interesting, man. Because when you looked at that game, what I saw on there was, man, they was doing everything possible to mess us up or kind of screw us over with the game. And for what I saw in that game, we had the momentum, and the Detroit Lions was pretty much whipping on Green Bay. It got to the point where I wasn't even going to watch the game anymore because it started to look like it was going to be a laugher, and which it was for the most part, definitely going into the half. But what I was pissed off about was after the half, they had a play where we didn't get any points on the board in the third quarter, and they scored. But when they scored, if you've seen, it was like 0 seconds on the clock in the third quarter. He didn't get the play off. It automatically supposed to start it up or went to commercial and went to the fourth quarter. But they let the play go. And when he got the ball, it was like on a deep route, too. And it ended up being in their red zone. And once they got that score, then it was really close. Remember, at that point, it was like 10-24. And so, yeah, it was close. And then that's when they ended up getting a 2-point conversion, which I apologize for because it was 11-10 to 24. So I said, the momentum's starting to go on their side. But I'm just glad that we pulled it off. It was a good victory, good road win. And not only that, but we beat them 4 games straight. And that was not done for a long time. So that just basically let you know, regardless of what happened and what we were all feeling as Detroit fans, that the team is headstrong. And it was pretty good to see that regardless of what they were trying to do, because it definitely seemed like they was trying to jeopardize us, or it was a lot of things, especially the calls. And we going to discuss that too, because some of them calls went a long way. It was like a lot of bad play calling. And what I'm upset about is at one point when the referees did something like they have a questionable call, you were seeing that Roger Goodell will look into it, and if he didn't feel like it matched the actual call that you put on, film, and he see it, and once he go through and review it, he was finding referees for making bad calls and not making the plays like accordingly.
I think somebody came up with a good idea in regards to the bad call because it happened in most games in the National Football League. Let's be honest. And because now there's that great betting interest in a lot of these games, that becomes a lot more of an issue with people. But long story short, somebody suggested that just like how they have the open press conference for the main players involved and the coaches after the game, the head referee should also have to have a press conference similar to that. I mean, granted, they do get interviewed after the game, but no, I think if you actually have to sit on TV and explain why this call happened, that call happened, and then because we do know that referees do get fined and basically reprimanded for some of these bad calls, we need to have that be made public as well so that the public itself will not feel so bad about it. As far as the game goes, it was definitely a good outing by the Lions. I very much like what they had going. Hopefully they can keep that momentum going here this weekend at Ford Field. I must admit, but one thing I'm liking about my Lions is they appear to be the best traveling team in the NFL. In other words, pretty much everywhere we've been so far, we done had a nice turnout of Lions fans. And I'm really, really encouraged by that. Because like I was telling you earlier in the season, I think it's a lot more closet Lion fans is about to start coming out the closet because remember, all those Thanksgivings where basically that time of day you watch the Lions first. I think a lot of people developed some love for the Lions over the years because of that. Not to mention the fact that either you love the Cowboys or you hate them. So if you're a Cowboy hater, more than likely you probably a Lions fan, low key. So that part. What else you got, Hugh?
Yeah, man. Besides that game, what was a game that really intrigued me too, that I was really impressed with, is the rebound game, man. This definitely should have been a game that they flexed. I thought that this should have been a late night game. Because the late night game was terrible on Sunday. But the battle of the division leaders, man. I think that at the time, yeah, you had a 2-1 Buffalo Bill team take a 3-0 Miami, just coming off of the game against the Broncos. So they was on cloud nine. That they came back to reality that game though, because Josh Allen definitely basically let you know that he was still the beast of the AFC East. And what was so intriguing about the game was just the stats in general, because he had 320 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, while Tua had 282 and a touchdown with an interception. He didn't really do much as far as when it came to, distributing the ball to like Tyreek Hill, man. They blanketed him the whole game, and they made sure that they put a bump or extra body on those guys to where the defense was pretty good, to where now they won that game, but it came with a price, man, because now Tre'Davious White is hurt, and that's their number one cornerback. So him being hurt now, it's intriguing, man. They're gonna have to do something on this, the trade deadline, because they definitely need a body at the cornerback position. Not saying that they're going to struggle, but that's just as bad as when the Cowboys lost Trevon Diggs, because he is their number one.
Well, keep in mind, they've been without Tre'Davious White in recent other seasons. He done had injury issues, and in the NFL, it's the difference between being hurt and being injured. That dude is injured because he out for the season. He's done. So yeah, a replacement for him would be helpful, but there's not a lot of quality cornerbacks just out there sitting. Most of the quality quarterbacks, they playing for their team. So I know the ones we got, y'all can't have none of ours. No, thank you. But yeah, that was a good game. Again, my concern was that people, because they seen they put up that 70 against Denver, start to think that Miami gonna do that every week. This is a National Football League. I don't think you should have that expectation. Are they going to be one of the higher scoring teams in the league overall? I think that goes without saying. But if you basically expect them to score like that on every team, I think that's a bad expectation. Not to mention the fact that that was one of those rivalry games. And rivalry games, they hit different. They just do.
Funny thing is too, remember that, like I said, man, they put up a 70 piece, man. We ain't never seen no 70 piece, man, win the ball. But now you look up and they almost had a 50 piece put on them. So you went from being in the penthouse to being in the doghouse within a week apart from each other. You went from, being to the point where, and you hear Tyreek Hill say it all the time, nobody can check me and Waddle, and we the fastest team in professional football. It doesn't matter when you have a strong defense and competing against a team like that, man. But yeah, for them to almost get 50 on the man, that's a humbling experience too, after being so high, on that cloud nine, man, and then saying, damn, we almost lost by 50, man. And so that's back to the drawing board with the Dolphins. But you're right, man, they're gonna have to get it together. One of the issues I see is their defense. So hopefully Jalen Ramsey will be able to make appearance and come back this season. If not,
truthfully, Hugh, that is the issue with them, the defense. Clearly, the offense, like I said, I don't think they're gonna have problem scoring. Even on a team with a good defense like Buffalo, they still managed to score. Remember, that game pretty much was a second half issue. That first half, they was basically going touchdown for touchdown with Buffalo. It's the second half and the adjustments that Buffalo made at that second half that made that game what it was. But yeah, think about it. Even in the game that they scored 70, that first half, Denver was basically hanging with them until they wasn't. And we see how bad Denver is overall. But I think the key to Miami at this point is to fix what's going on with that defense. That offense is going to be all right. There's too many weapons on that offense for them not to score.
Funny thing is,
of course, with the added caveat, of course, that Tua stays healthy, obviously.
Yeah. What was funny to me, too, because this is a game we shouldn't talk about, but we had to, because it was definitely a situation where it was the battle of the two of the worst teams in the league, and somebody had to come out on top with the Denver Broncos against the Chicago Bears. But
it actually was a better game than I thought it would be, Hugh, to be honest.
Yeah. But it was a tell the two tapes. Man, remember this week what I told you? I said, man, the second half saved most of these games and saved this week too. Because remember, I thought that this was one of the worst weeks at first from the first half. You know what I said? I said, man, this is not really looking too good. This first part, man, and you was like, yeah, Hugh, but it's a long game, man. You got the third and fourth quarter, but I never thought that the third and fourth quarter would make such a difference when they played this week. But it was just weird to me because it was a lot of fireworks going on in the first quarter because the Bears had the momentum, man. You looked at it like the Bears not only was going to win, but they was going to run away with it. And the second quarter, it was 21-7. So I'm thinking, oh man, they about to pull this out. And you look up in the third quarter, they scored 7 apiece, but with the 17 points that they scored, because they scored like so many unanswered points too. It was just really surprising because we already knew that the defense wasn't great, but they supposedly been working on the offense, man. They was trying to get O-linemen in there, Pro Bowl guys and all, but it's still a lot of work to do over there in Chicago, man. And but like I said, it's sad too because Justin Fields had his best game as a pro. That man had 335 yards and he had 4 touchdowns, and he definitely outplayed Russell Wilson, man. But at the end, I feel like some of the defensive plays and, the defense getting that pick six definitely was a factor on this game. But 31-28, they still got a little bit more to do. But then at the same time, I still feel like Sean Payton and Russell Wilson's definitely out of the, doghouse right now. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of this season go, because what I've been seeing as far as the rumor mill and the trade deadlines, they're saying that it's a possibility that they will deal a lot of their players, and start, from scratch, if that's even possible.
Well, like I said, understand Chicago in a bad way over there. They remind me a lot of what the Lions looked like, not too long ago, truthfully, where basically it needs to be fixes somewhere everywhere. I mean, credit to Justin Fields for saying this week, I'm just going to do me, because I think that's how they got as close as they did in that game. Because when you look at the actual game, you see Justin Fields started to do a lot of the things that he was doing last year early on when he was on the upside. But what it boils down to is this: Chicago Bears have lost 14 consecutive games in a row, including every game this year and basically the last half of the season last year. Something got to give. And keep in mind, they are the Thursday night game. We will get to that. But long story short, that leash is very, very short right now, as it should be.
Funny thing is, too, E, when you see this, too, it's been a lot of stuff going on with them right now. And it hasn't been good with that team, man. I remember when one of the wide receivers said in the past that Chicago is where you go and die, as a wide receiver. And I remember hearing one time in the transaction, I forgot what team it was, but Chase Claypool used to be in the AFC, and when he came over to the NFC, he said, "Man, I'm not gonna really be able to play you as much now, man, because you over here in the NFC." But he was like, "Yeah, man, you was a beast, man, and you was hard to, cover." And he said, "Man, I know for a fact, man, they're not using you right in Chicago. How do you feel about that, man? Do you feel like they're using you right?" And he said, "Nah, man, absolutely not." And he laughed. Of course, that was caught on camera, man, because a lot of times the players be mic'd up. And I think that the person he was talking to was mic'd up at the time. And that caused a lot more issues than what they need to in Chicago. Because remember, in week 2, they questioned him, and his passion to play, because he wasn't doing the blocks and he was just kind of nonchalant the way he carried on. And now him saying that and being caught on camera, he was a healthy scratch. And they're like, now they're not even having him, come in the building and do any practicing or anything. So that's a red flag right there. But what that's telling me too, that they're going to trade him pretty soon. And it's funny too, because remember, when you're hearing this thing about the trade, they were saying that how bad that the Carolina Panthers are right now, and they're in need of a receiver because how old Adam Thielen is. I think he's like 33. So yeah, I was like, that'd probably be perfect for them to try to go after him. I know they're going to try to go after somebody high caliber because they're looking for a number one. But I think if push comes to shove, if they have to, they'll definitely take a chance on Chase Claypool because it might just work out. He just probably need a fresh start, which I definitely believe so. Coming from an organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers and then going to Chicago, yeah, man, he just need a fresh new start.
Long story short, people, we'll of course get to our picks, but if this game don't work out too good for the Bears tonight, I say at that point let the fire sale begin, and everybody should be available, including Justin Fields. I mean everybody. Start all over, scorched earth. All right,
one of the games.
Move on.
Surprised me was the game, and I've been so bipolar with my man Sam Howell, but he's been so up and down this year too. I have every right to be, but his performance just recently reassured why I said it's a possibility, and I think that Washington could possibly go to the playoffs is because, man, he went toe to toe with them guys, man, and you know how good that defense is. He did some scrambles and some passes, and then some plays you like, man, especially when he took it into overtime, man. He had to dodge a few players and he threw a bullet right on the nose to the end zone. And I was like, man, I need to stop, hating on him and put some little bit more respect on his name, especially when I said they were a team that's possibly going to go to the playoffs. But yeah, that was a really good game. Ian, like you said with the game with Chicago and the Broncos, you didn't expect that, man. I had no idea because I thought that Philly was just kind of going to cruise through this game. But yeah, it's a division rivalry. They always had issues with Washington, and yeah, man, I see that continuing.
Every team, as I said last week, has that one team that just kind of get up for them and play them a little harder than they do everybody else. For the Eagles, it's the Commanders. I mean, plain and simple. For whatever reason, the Eagles ain't quite eagling the way they need to just yet. It's still some kicks in that armor that they need to work upon. We all know that the Eagles are a good team and probably definitely a playoff team, but for whatever reason, it's certain periods in the game these last few weeks where the Eagles kind of regress a little bit, and we can't really figure out why just yet. That being said, Sam Howell, I think he's still who you say he is, Hugh. I mean, think about it. You ain't got a lot of tape on Sam Howell, first of all. And then Sam Howell started doing things that you wasn't expecting him to do, which is why he kind of got over last week. I think now that tape is out there, it's going to be a lot harder for him to pull off that type of stuff. You'll get a better feel, I think, for Sam Howell this week when, of course, they play the Bears. It's funny how we keep coming back to that team. But, yeah, you will figure based on how they played the Eagles last week, the Bears should be in a lot of trouble tonight.
Yeah, you're right, man. But this league lies to you sometimes. We always hear the saying that week one is a lie, but this league can lie to you, man. We done seen some, what the hell games, throughout. One of them, in particular, was how Joshua Dobbs, how he handled the Dallas Cowboys. And then I told you what they was gonna do. I said they're gonna take their anger out on New England because that's not really a good team, man. And it was funny that they did just that too. And it's sad too because the fact that once the defensive players, Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez, got hurt, it was even downhill from there. It was ugly, man. They're starting to look like some of them Denver Broncos questionable things now too. But yeah, man, surprising to me, to get back to the games. I don't know who we went with, but I'm pretty sure that I thought that it'd be a slim margin, but I picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The issue was I still feel like Derek Carr shouldn't even played in that game, knowing how roughed up he got. But I still feel like even with Derek Carr, I didn't think they were going to beat this team, man. And just really surprising too because this gives new light to my man's Baker Mayfield. Because remember, we thought they were going to be on the bottom of the totem pole, which is still early. It's still early. Don't get me wrong. They could have one injury to just, put them back in that situation, that same category. But for now, man, the defense is playing really good. They still have a solid defense, and the offense been clicking, man. My man's been having the bobbles for most of his career. But I was surprised though that Mike Evans have definitely been playing pretty good for them. Besides the game when they lost against the Eagles, but then that game, give or take, had elements in it too, man. So I can't really say too much about that. But at the beginning, they played well, but it was just a few mistakes here and there cost them. But yeah, I definitely feel like that was a statement game. But then because we didn't know who the hell was coming out of the South, NFC South. But if they keep this up, I think that they could keep it going because that injury with Derek Carr definitely neutralized them and what they have. Yeah, they still have a solid defense, but it just seems like they couldn't prevail, man. Usually when they play Tom Brady, they'll have a huge stop or something to happen like a pick six to make the game more interesting. But in this case, man, it was close at first, but like we were talking about in the second half, the Bucs actually ran away with it.
I will definitely give Tampa Bay some credit. They probably are the surprise team of the season early on, especially since we knew Baker Mayfield had some skills, but figured that he would probably do just enough to keep the job long enough till they figure out how they was going to tank the rest of the season. But it appears to me that Baker has figured some things out over the summer. And you definitely, you listen to the press conferences, he sounds more mature. He sounds
Yeah,
like somebody that has a better understanding of what it takes to win in this league. You see his play; he seems a lot more calm in the pocket, and he seems like a good leader of men over there. So I would not be surprised if they mess around and do enough to win that division and basically run themselves out of the Jacob sweepstakes and decide to go ahead and keep Baker for a couple seasons.
that'd be good for him too, because he was definitely a former Heisman winner. We thought that he would play better than what he has been, man. Unfortunately, he's been in rough situations because at the time, Cleveland was kind of on the cusp, but they just wasn't quite there yet. And a lot of things I felt like was blamed on him, and then at the same time, his maturity level. But what showed us glimpse of how good he could be is when he went over to the Rams in that short period of time. And now he's in a pretty stable, decent organization where he can grow. And I wish the best for that brother, man. But you already know what I'm about to talk about now. There's two more games I wanted to talk about. The Cincinnati Bengals, man, what the hell is going on with them right now? We know Joe Burrow's hurt, but then did you see that out burst that my man Jamar Chase did? And that was really something uncharacteristic of him because the love that he had for Joe Burrow. And I know they've been teammates for a long time. And I think a lot of that got started from the media too. Like, man, how do you feel about you couldn't get the ball as much because you wasn't as quiet open? And he said, "Open, I'm always effing open," And then he had to apologize for what he said, but he seemed like he was calm, but you could see the anger in his face and the disconnect between him and what was going on with Burrow. He know he's hurt. He was even saying, "I'd rather him not play than to get himself healthy, than play hurt and make our chances even worse to trying to go to a playoff run." And like we said, they didn't do anything as far as trying to get another quarterback, a decent one, to put on the team as a backup. So where did this leave the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, you will notice if you check the injury reports today that Joe Burrow is not on the injury report this week. He is not listed as questionable, doubtful, or anything. He is listed as ready to play. He has had full practice all week. Perhaps the injury to his calf is starting to work itself out, which would be a good thing. However, that's not the only issue that we see with these Bengals right now. Again, as I pointed out last week, they are definitely missing Pirine in the backfield. Yes, Mixon is doing a decent job, but I think that two-headed monster definitely helped during times to kind of loosen things up to where Burrow could kind of get the sling in it. Now they look very one-dimensional at times, particularly when they get behind, so that teams are starting to key in on that, not to mention the fact that that improved offensive line was supposed to be on the verge of being very good, but we do not see signs of that at the moment. They're in Cincinnati. And keeping in mind that the division they play in, and remember we said that it wasn't going to be the AFC East, but it was going to be that division that was going to be the toughest one this year. It's playing out like that to a smaller degree. Granted, Pittsburgh, a whole nother issue, but I do believe that in these next couple of weeks, we'll figure out what's going to happen with Cincinnati because, as you know, if you go 1-4 in the NFL, your likelihood of making it to the playoffs is very, very slim and none.
And it's sad too, because it always keep going back to these two teams, man. Pirine, I just seen he's on the Denver Broncos, man. So that being said, yeah, as far as the issues you said what was going on with the Steelers, yeah, man, it's pretty crazy, man. But I'm glad that Najee Harris spoke up on it and he said, man, we can't blame everything on the coaches, man. I feel like we're playing soft and we're not playing with the, intensity that Pittsburgh Steelers normally play with. And people thought that it was him at first lashing out at the team, but no, man, you can't blame everything on the coaches, man, because they're getting paid to coach, but you're getting paid too to go out there and execute. And I just feel like they've been having issues somewhat executing because, but then you got to give credit too, man. Yeah, Kenny Pickett got hurt, but man, people not giving enough credit to that Texans team, man, because damn, CJ Stroud's been playing just as good as everybody thought he'd play. Besides some of the people who feel like them Wonderlic and all those silly ass, things like computer, programs about your intelligence and how good a player played that always play into things. But I'm glad that they still had like a situation where he might have won one or two, and people thought that he was going to go later because of the one of the scores. And I'm just glad that the Texans stuck to their guns, because I still feel like they had the steal of the draft, getting Stroud and Will Anderson, and that young team's been looking like they've been way more advanced than we thought. And we've seen glimpses of them looking good during like last season, but it seemed like this season they're starting to come and bring it all together.
Credit to that quarterback Stroud, the NFL Rookie of the Month. But I want to give you more credit to the coach, Ryans, because I think he has them playing with a whole different mentality than they have in recent years. Keep in mind, we said last year the Texans, they was a bad team, but not that bad. Think about how many close games they played and just wasn't able to get over the hump. It remind me a lot of the Lions that first year that we had Campbell, where we did lose a lot of games, but a lot of those games were very close. They starting to win those close games now because they have better personnel and they got better coaching going on. So I like to see them keep that going, because in that division, it's not a lock. Remember, everybody was thinking that Jacksonville was going to have that on lock and wrapped up for sure. It's not looking that way now.
Not at all, man. And I got to say something to make you mad too, E, man. You might not answer this question, but I got to ask it, man. How did you feel about that Ohio State-Michigan connect with your boy C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins, man? That's been his go-to guy, man.
No, the crazy thing about that is it seemed like Nico Collins playing better in the pros than he ever did in college. That's the crazy part about it. Nico definitely was not a big factor when he was at Michigan. You know, we seen he had the size and he could make big catches, but he really wasn't a big play threat like that when he was at UM. I mean, granted, we more of a running type offense at UM, but even still. So the fact he went to Texas and he's showing up and showing out now, I'm impressed by that. And you know, Michigan Ohio players, it's a few teams that had those type of connections. So I'm not surprised by that at all.
All right, man. You can say what you want to say in this game, man. I'll definitely keep it short and sweet. I was really surprised with this Kansas City game. This was another what the hell type games. You said that you felt like Patrick Mahomes was trying to do too much, and then Swagoo said the same thing, man. He said that he felt like he was trying to do too much and he was being arrogant. And I said, yeah, man, that's possibly the case. And when I seen that game, man, he was doing too much crazy stuff, man. We know how he'd throw it behind his back and do silly stuff like that, and it's spectacular. But this time, a few of those plays didn't come to, his rescue. And the actual game was closer than what it's supposed to be, man. And I seen a little bit of glimpse of my man's fighting for that team now too, man, Zach Wilson. And I was definitely looking at his effort, even though they lost. And I feel like he basically put it all on his shoulders. It's night and day from the time. Remember, they said that the defense only gave up 9 points. Do you think that by you only scoring 3 points on offense, that it was all on you guys, and it wasn't on the defense? It was more on you as the quarterback and your quarterback play. And he said, absolutely not. That caused a wedge in that team. As you noticed, right after that, man, Robert Saleh benched him. He got better play from the second string quarterback, and they ran with him for a while and said they wanted to focus on Zach Wilson's fundamentals. And people looked at it like he was being punished when that was said. It was like, I definitely felt like he lost the team at the time, because Sauce Gardner and a lot of the guys, definitely was displeased with that. But to put it on him now and taking the rep after even having a good game like that, man, that can be a wake-up call for them, because I'm not trying to be funny. But when I saw that, man, we already know that the Jets in New England going to be on the bottom of the totem pole. But I was like, they got a little bit more to work with now than New England, because of the injuries on defense. And that was the good side of their actual team when it came to defense. So, yeah, man, hopefully this can help him out too. And I know you said it was a little bit of that Aaron Rodgers magic. Well, hopefully that don't sizzle out anytime soon.
Well, I would say, yeah, it probably did help that Aaron Rodgers was in the building. I'm pretty sure him and Zach sat down and talked about some things, and he kind of gave him some of his observations as to what he was doing wrong, and he probably used some of that sage advice to his advantage this week. So I am glad he played better overall. Keep in mind, say what you will about Patrick Mahomes, he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, bar none. Just like, yeah, it was that times where he could have lost him that game. It was what he did at the end of that game that won them that game. In the same token, remember, much like in some of those years with the great Tom Brady, he don't have a lot to work with in terms of that offense over there. Yeah, Pacheco, he's a decent back, and we all know Kelsey is a future Hall of Famer. But beyond those two players, the rest of that supporting cast, not so much, not so much. So yeah, I think he feels like at times he has to overdo it because he has to compensate for what he does not have right now. That's why when we talk about the trade deadline and people like Claypool and such, those are the types of things you should look out for, because I definitely think Kansas City will probably make a move to get a definite number 2 receiver at least, maybe even Cup.
And crazy too, situation, man. This is the most I believe the players are going to be in a situation where they're going to go in the trade deadline. Because, like I said, that whole situation in Denver, man, they probably look to even trade off Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, and then even a Patrick Surtain, at this point to try to free up some money and get
Right. The
more
only
draft.
reason why I don't see that happening to the degree that it probably should in Chicago is because, remember, they are under new ownership, and you got to clear that. And if I just pay $8 billion and some change for a team, I'm not trying to hear we suck. We need to start from scratch. That's not going to go over well with my pockets on my people.
And it's been weird week too when it comes to the NFL. After I say this, I'm gonna definitely let you we pick the games, but it was just strange. A lot of things that happened. Yeah, I know you heard about Jonathan Taylor coming back and saying all that stuff that happened was just stuff that basically was on the off season, and I'm ready to play now. And I still believe that if he could cooperate, that he will still go to another team, but he's looking like he's basically looking forward to moving on and playing right now and showing his worth either to the Colts or another team, regardless. But did you hear about Randy Gregory being released? They just feel like that's the start of it right now. They feel like they paid a lot of money for the big acquisition at defensive end, and he didn't work out. So they shipped him out of town, and the whole release with the situation with Chandler Jones was weird to me, man. How they just locked him out of the facility, and then he had a rant on Facebook, and now they just cut him off completely, released him.
My only concern with the Chandler Jones thing is if he is having mental issues to the degree that they are saying that he has, that he truly does get the help that he needs, and hopefully they can get him back on the path to living a good quality life if he's no longer going to be in the NFL, or basically get back to work with a team that is more willing to work out with him and his issues. As far as the Gregory thing, it is what it is. Every year there's that one or two players that you try to rehabilitate in the league and it just don't work out. That's him. But I'm surprised in your report this week, Hugh, we didn't mention nothing about young Tay Tay. You're not caring about the Taylor Swift effect that's being had on NFL?
You was messing with me on that, man. I don't care for that in particular. But one thing I could say though, man, is it's bringing a lot more fans, her fans, to the game, but more or less making them more like on the Travis Kelce train, man. His whole social media, him and his brother's social media blew up, man. It's like if you a Kelce, you live your best life. Mama Kelce up in there chilling with him, and you had the State Farm dude. You got a lot of people up in there, man. One person I noticed that wasn't happy about this, man, and it started to look like a soap opera over there, man. I think Patrick Mahomes' wife was too pleased. Did you see the picture where everybody was happening, enjoying each other and having fun, and the suite? When she was just to herself, man, texting, looking angry, and
they caught her while she was eating her food. That was the report that we got. But also keep in mind that Travis Kelce's ex, for those of you familiar with his dating reality show, the young lady that he ended up picking, yeah, she's had quite a bit to say in the media. So it's just a whole soap opera in and of itself. But of course, now people are saying that not only are we loving Tay Tay as part of this NFL and the attention this brings, but obviously we got our choice for this year's Super Bowl and Usher. People are already putting it out there that next year, yeah, it should be all Tay Tay. Let Tay Tay do the Super Bowl happen. So, and I actually like the idea myself.
Yeah, she'll do a good show. Yeah, she do, man. We've definitely seen that in the past, but yeah, man.
Right,
I think
hold on. Before we move on to next week, the one other game I want to talk about, not because it was a good game, because clearly Atlanta and Jacksonville, not so much. I mean, yeah, there was the fact that it was across the pond, but we definitely got to talk about one of the innovative ways that they chose to show that game. If any of you have seen the Disney Plus version of that game, keep in mind, I let Hugh know about it, and his initial reaction was, I ain't trying to see that BS. But I think once he actually saw it, he kind of had a different thought process on it. I want to hit him up with that, and then I'm gonna tell y'all what I thought. Go ahead, Hugh. What was your thoughts, man?
Big fan of you after seeing that, man, because I don't think people know that the history behind me and Toy Story is deep, man. Me and my boy Shard, man, we was chilling one day, man, and we back in the Blockbuster days. His mom got a Blockbuster movie, and we was like, man, we about to chill. Let's see a good movie right quick. Let's see what it was. And but we didn't know, like maybe a half hour later, his two nephews came over. So I said, something ain't right, man. She already picked the movie. I don't think it's gonna be for us. And we saw Toy Story 1. And the kids enjoyed it, but I think we were just as big as fans as the kids, and that's special to me because not only did we watch Toy Story 1 together, we got all together and we were all excited to see part 2, and that tradition went on with me watching all the rest of the Toy Stories, man. So that was kind of deep to see that being implemented into the game, and it was really exciting, man. I definitely want to bring in and reel in my little nephew with that too, man. Let him watch football from the concept of the cartoon, and let it like break down and show him the game, and try to groom him into watching the real thing. But yeah, that's an awesome way to introducing children to the football games. Yeah, I like that.
I must say, definitely kudos to ESPN, Disney Plus, and the National Football League for setting that up in the way that they did. I think it was a brilliant marketing strategy overall for not only the game, the NFL, and for the Toy Story franchise, and for Pixar as well. Shout out to them. But keep in mind, I'm pretty sure that's going to definitely help to increase sales of Toy Story products going into the holiday season, for one. And I most definitely would like to see them do it again. I understand that the technology behind that is very complex and complicated, and it's not something you can just whip up and do every week like that, nor would I want them to do it every week. But I definitely think for entertainment purposes, for bringing new audiences, especially how they incorporated a lot of the basic rules of the game into that actual game itself. I'm gonna do my best to kind of post a link where you can go to watch that game. So as we are watching it now, when I play it back live later on, I'm going to post that link so you guys can go check it out for yourselves. And by all means, let us know what you think in the comments. I really thought it was very creative and just innovative, and gives you an idea of what good usage of AI and this modern technology can be in terms of helping us as a society in general. So yeah, I loved it. I really did. But okay, that being said, like I said, the rest of the games that week, of course, you had Cowboys and whatnot. It is what it is, and the Chargers still doing Charger type things, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about that at a later time. What's going to happen now is we're going to take our usual quick break so we can let you know about my brother and what he got going on. After that, we are going to talk a couple college games and then get into our picks for next week. This is the Guros football session, part of the show within the show that is the Big Buck Sports Report. We'll be right back.
Find more from Hugh Lee on the Pure to the Game Sports blog or on his Guru's Perspective podcast on Spotify or Anchor Podcasts.
All right, folks, we are back. This is the Guru's Football Session, part of the big show that we call the Big Buck Sports Report. We are talking football. We're going to kick it with you about a few college games this week. Just basic couple I want to get. I mean, keep in mind, again, you know, this is a big Michigan house here. But again, Michigan not really playing teams that's really worth discussing at this point. So that's why I haven't been much Michigan talk. Not that we don't care about blue, we do. But until they really play somebody of standard, it really ain't much to discuss. In terms of the Pac-12, we still seen a lot of good games in the Pac-12. Probably one of the best games of the whole weekend was that Friday when basically the two teams that's left in the Pac-12, Washington State and Oregon State, played each other, and that was a pretty good ball game, I felt. But the two games I want to discuss with you is the game between Notre Dame and, of course, Duke. What were some of your thoughts on that right quick, Hugh?
Really good game, man. I just felt like the Duke defense broke down at the end because at first when I seen the game, I'm like, man, this game is kind of, more defensively than I would like, even though I love some defense. But then what surprised me was Duke came back in the game and had the advantage. But, it was just one slip up in the game, and that slip up cost them, man. But I had to give credit to Notre Dame too, after going through the adversity of losing to Ohio State, which I think it was kind of questionable to me because it was like you didn't even have enough people on the field for that last play. But to turn that around and then just keep it moving forward, I really was surprised with them. And because it looked like they was going to lose back-to-back games, to still pull that out, I definitely gave respect to them. And just how good they played, man, because it's hard to go through a tough loss like they did, man, and then turn around and win, man. And it definitely in this day and age when, surprisingly enough, the Duke is not only a basketball team, but they trying to make their way and they trying to make an impact on the football field. But like Sam Hartman, he's a class, man. That dude's a class act because when they seen at the end of the game when one of the Duke players, their quarterback got hurt, he went over to check up and make sure he was okay and didn't leave until he knew the guy was okay after a hard-fought victory. But, yeah, I was really impressed with that game, man. It was better than what I thought because, some people, even though they knew Duke was doing well, but they thought that they wasn't going to do well and perform in the lights, and they did that and then some.
Right, and I would agree with all those thoughts. Keep in mind, the game I was most disappointed with this week was that Kansas-Texas game. Texas pretty much ran roughshod on them, and I really thought Kansas was ready for the big lights. Keep in mind, Kansas, yet another basketball school doing big things in football, but I don't think they're quite ready for dealing with the big boys at this point. Of course, we will be remiss if we don't talk about the Cinderella college darling team of the year right now, that being the Colorado Buffaloes and their performance against USC. What's your thoughts on that, Hugh?
Yeah, man, at first I was like, man, this game's starting to get out of hand. But then when you told me something, I said, hey, man, they still got another half to go. And it basically showed that they have to do a lot of improvements on defense. And we've already had that discussion before. You said, yeah, Hugh, I believe the game's going to be close due to the fact that USC defense is just not hitting. And then I've seen that. Basically right now, that was their Achilles heel last year. But now to see that you guys let them score that many unanswered points, you still got a Heisman Trophy winner and reigning champion over there in Caleb Williams. But I just don't feel like if that defense played the way it did, that they won't go nowhere, especially in the playoffs. Y'all might make a bowl game, but I don't see y'all being in continuous playoffs. So, yeah, but I had to give props to my man's Shiloh Secure and, Shadur Sanders. That's what I meant to say. Shiloh and Shadur Sanders. That's what I meant. But for them just to, for the defense to clamp up first and foremost and to play better But just for that team, to step up and keep fighting, because last week when they played Oregon, we just felt like they wasn't fighting, like they gave up. But this week they kept the fight in them, and they made a really interesting game. They were a situation where I still feel like they was an onside kick away from possibly pulling it off, man. Because if they would have got the ball back, how Coach Sanders is, man. Coach Prime would have went for two. So yeah, man, it really made me a little more disappointed in the UFC because they was running away with the game. So got to give props to Caleb Williams though, because he did have 6 touchdowns, man, and he only had 6 incompletions. But I definitely put Shedeur Sanders in the same situation as far as when it comes to Heisman competition, because he competed. But I just feel like they still have a lot to go, man, as far as both on offense and defense. And the only thing I had problems with UFC was the defense was sloppy at the end.
Well, again, in order for Caleb Williams to once again win the Heisman, he's going to have to basically show out on offense to make up for that lack of defense that they had. Keep in mind, he already has better numbers this year than he did in his Heisman campaign of last year, but that defense is making him look bad. And I think ultimately it's going to cost him the Heisman, because sooner or later they're going to end up losing one of them games, particularly the one I would mark on my calendar is that USC Oregon game, because that defense can't afford to play like that against Bo Nix. That's not going to be good.
No.
You want to score a lot of points in that game then. But I'm really, again, like most of the talking heads and whatnot, are liking what's going on there at Colorado. They're doing a lot of good things. If you notice, every week now, even though we know that team's still not quite ready for the big time, you notice that every week somebody emerges on that squad, whether it's one of the freshmen or one of the many transfer people that they have brought over. It seems like every week we meet another one or two that, okay, who's this guy? Who's this tight end dude? Who's this DB we ain't seen play? Who's this wide receiver kid that we ain't seen play yet? And every week you could tell that, okay, what he's saying about, yeah, y'all just wait. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Because I'm sure he's seeing some of these things in practice, and it just ain't carried over to the games just yet. But every week now, they're getting better. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to this part of their schedule, because they didn't pretty much play the bigger teams that they're going to play. I do believe they get a couple of the ranked Pac-12 teams later on in the season. I think they got Utah still, and I want to say Oregon State. But yeah, they get to play the Stanfords and the Cals and whatnot. I'm interested to see what they do with teams that should be either right on the level they are or a little bit less. I want to see how they play against those type of squads and see if they can basically show up and show out enough to where they end up being bowl eligible. Because keep in mind, I don't expect them to get to a New Year's Day bowl, but whatever bowl they get into, it might well be one, because that's going to be one that's going to get a lot of viewership and a lot of people going to that bowl. I mean, famous people probably, because you know how Deion and them do.
Yeah, they've been having a lot of famous people on campus. It was fun too this week, man, to see just in general all the people who are on campus. And it was cool to see Ken Jung acting crazy, representing Duke, man. And always seeing people at games with Colorado, people coming to visit and seeing Prime, man. And
basically it's starting to be like those Laker games from back in the day when all the superstars were there. I mean,
absolutely.
You still had that Lakers, but not like it used to be.
But yeah, it was just really fun, man.
Yeah, that being said, Hugh, let's get into it now. We are going to give you guys our picks for next week in the NFL, week 5. Of course, we'll start out with tonight's game, the lowly Bears and those Commanders.
I'm going with the Commanders, and I'm taking the spread.
I'm going with the Commanders as well. I don't know if I'm taking the spread, but I am taking that if they do beat the spread, and if they beat it convincingly, yeah, there will be a press conference by the end of the week, and Eberflus will be gone. He'll be done. Either that, or they'll go scapegoat route, and either offensive or defensive coordinator going to end up packing their bag. Either way, yeah, the Bears, it's not going to be good at that. Because 0-5 is your season's over. Okay, Panthers and the Lions here in beautiful Detroit.
I got us with the spread too. I know it sounds insane, but then one thing that you told me, E, that lit up a light bulb, man. One of those 300 watt LED light bulbs. You know how bright that is. The fact that they embarrassed us at home, and that was one of the games that we basically, I felt like I probably looked over and they came in and they whooped our tail here in Detroit, man. So I think that this time the Lions definitely had this game marked on the calendar and didn't expect them to be in an on-4 situation, but I still feel like it's going to be competitive, but I think that we'll definitely get that spread by 10 points.
My blue Kool-Aid was very delicious last week. I look forward to having some more this week after this Lions victory. Go Lions! All right, we got the Giants and the Dolphins next up.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins because the Giants been just as bad of a team as some of these teams that we're naming, like the Denver Broncos, Chicago Bears, and all. I see that continuing. I don't see that changing. It's funny too because they went from being a team that we praised last year and they praised Brian Daboll to it might be a situation if they continue to look as bad as they have been, man, that he'll be looking for another job, man, as a different offensive coordinator, which I know a lot of people would, be thrilled. But yeah, man, that spread of 12 points, I think is going to be a little under that though.
Did y'all see the game Monday night? Giants Seahawks. Notice how we didn't talk about that game? We probably ain't gonna be talking about this one next week either. Dolphins. All right. Chiefs Vikings in Minnesota.
I'm still going with the Chiefs because the Vikings are not good, man. Remember when last year they won those close games? They're losing the close games now, but I really feel like in this situation that Patrick Mahomes will catch his stride because he's been to the point where he said he's been crippled by not having as much talent around him. I believe that'll change by the trade deadline, but I think that they'll definitely make a statement on this game due to the fact that the way they won that last game, I felt like it shouldn't have been close, but give credit to that New York defense. But yeah, they have it by 3.5. I'm gonna go over that though, for sure.
I will say this much. I'm going with the Chiefs. I say it's even more if, for whatever reason, Tay-Tay and company decides to show up to this game as well. Understand, she is going back on tour in November, and her movie comes out in a couple weeks. So I think she's gonna get too busy to kind of run around with Travis like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if she show up to this one, and this may be the last one you see her at for a while. But as far as the game itself, the Vikings don't usually do well in these type of games because of that dude. Y'all know who it is. Did you see that? I ain't seen much of nothing this year from that brother. I mean, yeah, he got the numbers, but that team just is 1-3. Enough said. Okay, Jacksonville and the Bills over there in London.
I think the Bills gonna punish them, man, due to the fact that they haven't been looking that well, man. Like we said, we thought that they were going to be the team that you actually feel like was going to run away with the division in the AFC South. But what's funny is a lot of people criticize and they say it's the hype train overhyped in Detroit. But that was a team that they said is supposed to be better than us and on their way to the playoffs again for the second consecutive year. That's from the talking heads. And look at them now. I have them losing this game. And I think it's going to be over that 5.5.
I'm not gonna go to 5.5. I think that game gonna be close for some reason. Just NFL being the NFL. I still say the Bills win, but it won't be surprising to me if they only win by a field goal. Okay, Titans against the Colts. With no disrespect to Mr. Richardson over there with the Colts, who's been playing pretty decent. We're not even gonna talk about that game. The Saints and the Patriots. Can we move on from that one as well, sir? All righty then. Let us go with the Ravens and the Steelers.
I'm going to Ravens, man, because it's a little disarray over there, man. I know they'll finally eventually clean up some of the stuff that's going on over there in that organization. But yeah, I just feel like the Ravens haven't been showing me as much neither. But who's their quarterback right now, man? I know that Kenny Pickett got hurt, and then I know they backup is Mitchell Trubisky. So yeah, Steelers.
Understand, this is one of them rivalry games, which makes it real different. I'm going with the Ravens, but I don't think I'm messing with the 4.5. Only because it's in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh tends to have a pretty decent crowd for the rivalry game. All right, we got the Texans and the Falcons.
I'm going to Texans on this one because it's just something funky.
Texans as well. Even though they got Falcons favored by 1.5, I'm definitely going with the Texans. Don't take them points. All right, we got the Bengals and the Cardinals, a battle of 1 and 3 teams.
After you telling me what was going on with Burrow and how he's healthy and he's not on that report as having any injuries, I still feel like this is going to be a close game because the Cardinals have been putting up fights, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with them by that 3.5. No, by 3 because I got.
If Burrow is truly healthy, and keep in mind the T. Higgins factor might come into play in that a little bit, I still will go with the Bengals. Okay, we got the Eagles, one of the 2 undefeated teams left in the building, against the Rams.
I'm going to take the under on this one, even though I think that the Eagles still can prevail. But, man, you got Cooper Kupp, man, and he definitely should be there to play. And with him and Puka Nacua, man, yeah, that's going to be a problem, man. So, yeah, I'm going to go under on this one. But I had them winning by 3.
I'm taking the Eagles and the points. I think they're going to light Matthew up. That defense going to finally come to play this weekend, I think. All right, we got the Jets and the Broncos. Next.
Thank you.
Here. And then, of course, there is game of the week, the game of the year as far as the talking heads go, because I promise you, that's all they talked about. No Mercy, Undisputed. Can we get other topics, please? Most of the show all week, either Dallas Cowboy talk or LA Laker talk. Come on, Skip. That's why part of why your boy left in the first place.
And they getting killed ratings.
And like I said, First Take doing a little better, but they share a Cowboy and 49er talk this week too. I understand you playing toward the Dallas audience, which is one of the bigger audiences in the country, but man, as fans of other teams, we get tired of hearing about the damn Cowboys and the Lakers all the time. Come on. That being said, I got the Niners down.
Me too.
I'm a hater. But okay. And of course, the Monday night game, we got Packers and Raiders. Yeah, it look like I'll be finding something else to do next Monday too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be going for I think the Packers, man, because something's wrong with that organization too, and it all starts with Josh McDaniels, man. I don't see him staying with that team. He fizzled out when he got Tim Tebow with the Broncos, and now this, yeah, I'm gonna go with Green Bay, and I feel like I'm gonna go with the over.
According to a report I saw a couple days ago, Caleb Williams has come out with an actual list of teams that he would prefer to play for if he came out this year. Understand that the Raiders was on that list. They don't win this game, be on the eye for the tanking. All right, so that's it, y'all. That is the Guru's football search for this week. Before we go, we got to have my man's break down what he got going, and please let them know about the situation and what we need to do to circumvent that search.
Well, I don't really know what's going on, but I've been having disagreements with Facebook, man. They'll say I had something that was, copyright infringed. I'll take it down from the respect of them saying that. Then all of a sudden they just block me for some reason. I had that issue. This is my second time now. I think this is my second offense, but kind of getting tired of that because it ain't like I'm getting paid to do it. I do it for the love of the sport. But so far right now, I don't know when my account will be back on, but I definitely have other places where you can go. He was showing you on Spotify and Anchor. I have the Guru Perspective you could check out, and I'm gonna definitely do a podcast coming up this Friday, giving my takes on college. And of course, I have my YouTube page too, strictly sports page called Sports Guru to You at gmail.com. I have a TikTok page doing just that as well, as far as strictly like sports highlights. And that's Hugh.Lee6. You can check me out on there as well. And on the Instagram page, you could just pull up Hoovy. That's WHOOVI. Once you type that in, you'll definitely see me on there as well. And that's not gonna stop me, man. At one point, I felt like it was a stranglehold on me because remember, I wasn't doing too much of nothing at that time. When I found out today, took me off the air. But man, like I said, man, you can go to my Gmail account. Once again, that's sportsguru to you at gmail.com. You can go to TikTok, Hugh.Lee6, and you can go to Instagram, Hoovy, WHOOVI. And I'm gonna still be doing what I do there. I can't let that stop me anymore, especially when I'm not getting paid to do it. I do it for you guys and the love of the game. And I love to be one of the first people in detail to just talk to you and express what's going on and giving you the live action news, ahead of time before most times like your favorite ESPNs and Bleacher Reports pull out that news. I like to give it to you, and that's what keep my page, I felt like, exciting. I really care less about doing a lot of the highlights. I put a few highlights on there for people to see and interact, because that's how I know I got some of my audience. But for the most part, I felt like, and I didn't really pay no attention to it, you told me, was most people was more excited and appreciate a lot of the updates and the breaking news. So yeah, until then.
So like I said, keep in mind all that information you gave you. We're gonna try our best to type into the comments so you guys can download it and share it and paste it, whatever you need to do to get to those links so you can help support. Please, when you go to those sites for Mr. Lee, make sure that you are liking and subscribing. That definitely helps, because even though, yes, he does it for the love, if we could do it for the monetary value at some point, because we have so many followers, that would be very helpful to our overall cause of life. Everybody can use some extra income. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, please look out for my guy. We appreciate that. That being said, we are moving back to the Big Buck Sports Report. We will catch you next week for the show within the show, which is the Guru's football session. Throw the fingers up, Hugh. And there it is, y'all. We'll be right back after. And there you have it, the show within the show that we call the Big Buck Sports Reports Guru's football session. That was that for this week. Like I said, we're gonna go with a slightly different format starting next week. It'd just be better to show you guys how it will go once we do it. We'll have segments of the show that will be pre-recorded. We'll do some of it live. It'll make sense. And like I said, it'll be kind of like the shows that you see on your local weekly sports reports type things. We're gonna do a little bit more towards that. It kind of works out for these scheduling situations that I and Hugh has, and perhaps we may even incorporate other folks if we can work that out within the confines of the scenario. So look forward to that in the weeks to come. Like I said, for those of you that can't make it through the whole show or whatnot, some of the little snippet bites will be available on the Instagram, so you can check that out. Please, as always, if you check this out either live or later on during the rebroadcast, leave your comments. We will get back to you in terms of those comments. Any other teams you want us to kind of key in on, please make sure you leave that in the comments in our messengers, whether they be on the IG or here on the Facebook or on the YouTube, where you can find us at Eric Buck Nighthawk Network Detroit. That is Eric Buckner Nighthawk Network Detroit on YouTube. And also we have Hugh Lee YouTube page. We'll eventually have all that linked up to everything, so it all will be able to be found in one convenient location. So that being said, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will be back with you with another Big Buck Sports Report very soon. Go Lions, go Blue. Let's do it all. we, my friends, are going to end it there. As always, let us show a little love to the late, great Derek Smith, aka Helene Hologram, on the way out the door. Deuces, baby. Deuces.